So today we are gonna go ahead with first things first, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And we are gonna see whether it is a good one, whether it is a bad one, whether it is something I don't know. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm gonna go ahead with the next quote-unquote headline. If only you have goals with principles and a vision for the future, you can reach them. Have you ever taken a New Year's decision you didn't complete? Many people in the new year are simply putting personal goals such as more work or more exercise to turn quickly to their old habits. So it doesn't have to be New Year's. People always tend to set goals that they wouldn't reach. Sometimes even they reach, the results may cause dissatisfaction. For instance, the Soviet government wanted to decrease alcohol consumption, so put the restriction on sales in the 1980s. As a result, alcohol consumption decreased, but narcotic consumption increased. The goal was reached with a high cost. So what is the difference between goals that are reached and goals that are reached in a positive way? First of all, you need to identify the what, why, and how to make your goal consistent with your principles. So here's the right thing. What, for the right reason, why, and in the right way, how. So the right thing, what, the right reason, why, and the right way, how. For example, imagine what the meaning of maintaining a healthy body for you is. In this case, while your why may come from feeling good and being an example for your children, your how may be changing your eating habits and exercising regularly. You have to make sure your goal is yours and you have control over it in addition to finding your what, why, and how. You can't have the ability to change the president's foreign policy, but you can have control over your body and personal habits. Finally, you should give importance to your goal instead of rushing for it. Sometimes your goal might take years to complete, like an example of the fact that you're overweight and want to become fit. The important thing is that you are dedicated because you understand that your goal, like being healthy, will have an impact on your life and that you really want to work for it. Yes, indeed, there always has to be a reason, an intrinsic reason why you want to do something. Of course, if somebody makes you do something, then you're probably not going to work on it as hard as you can, since it is not necessarily something that you for yourself want to have, but it is something the other person wants you to do, basically. And the next point. You need to find the right perspective and act with integrity to make the right decisions. You need to use the right perspective when making important decisions. For instance, a good photographer uses different lenses to get the right perspective for each one with the purpose of taking nice pictures. When people make decisions or plans, they tend to use one perspective. Quote-unquote close-up view is used for immediate decisions like deciding what they eat in a dinner, or wide-angle view is used for long-term goals like planning their 5 years. The best solution is to combine these two perspectives by planning in weekly terms. You can determine a time for things that are important to you, such as work, family, or leisure, by creating a weekly calendar which provides proper attention throughout the week without certain specific hours for your activities. Also, you can try to combine your goals whenever you can. For instance, let's think you have to cook dinner, meet your neighbors, and prepare a new recipe for an upcoming reception. How the situation is stressful. You need to have good perspective here and combine these activities. Make the new recipe for tonight's dinner, make extra to give to the neighbors, and take to the reception. Oh, yeah. You should also follow your principles while using the right perspective. As an example, your friend calls you with a serious problem and you plans to stay home and read that night. What would you do? You would probably prefer going to your friend rather than staying and reading because of the value of friendship and reliability. Sometimes staying with your principles, which is called having integrity in the moment of choice, may be more important to your plan. Thanks to this integrity, we are able to make good choices. But I do have to say, if it is a severe problem, then you should definitely go to your fucking friend and help them out. But if it is like, do you want to drink with us and stuff like that, then maybe, say no and be like, well, I actually wanted to read today. And, I've been struggling to do this for quite some time. Maybe, I don't know, be vulnerable. Be vulnerable in those situations because people can fucking understand. We all human beings. Of course, some are more empathetic than other ones. And some are really not empathetic, just at all. But But yeah, tell them. Tell them, they're gonna understand. Of course, please value your fucking relationships. It is such an incredibly important thing. Like, it is insanely important. Something that I've missed out for quite some time. Fortunately, I've been able to get back to the whole thing. But don't neglect to see that, and don't neglect to spend time with your friends, especially when it is about just love relationships. Like, okay, I do have to take care of my spouse or some shit, and you just don't do anything with friends anymore and stuff like that. It's not good, because guess what? When your love relationship ends, you're fucked, because then there's nobody. And being like, wow, hey guys, I'm back. I don't know if they're going to be so happy about that. Being like, okay, I don't have anything to do, so I'm going to come to you. And yeah, not cool. You should prefer interdependence and cooperation rather than independence and competition. Life always offers us competition in many areas, such as getting the best grades and the best job, or being smarter and prettier. This approach is unhealthy and causes focusing on independence and competition, which impacts us negatively. People rush to get things done because they have to achieve everything alone, so it causes competition. They do not spend time or their time to eat healthily, but they run into an appointment by getting fast food that proves us their rush to life. Rush to love by jumping into one relationship to another and run away when things become difficult instead of working through it. Unfortunately, there are many negative effects of this lifestyle. For instance, a bad diet causes health problems, or couples who choose easy way rather than working through difficulties lead to divorce. We need to focus on independence, interdependence, and cooperation instead of being driven by independence and competition. We need to accept interdependence as a good thing, and that comes from the 4 basic human needs: living, loving, learning, and leaving a legacy. These are all related to relationships with others. So we can say that everyone needs others to stay alive, healthy, and happy. And there is nothing more important that I've realized in the past 3 years. This explains, or first of all this, and second of all in the past 3 months. This explains why the concepts of interdependence and cooperation are important, particularly. For instance, when we work independently, we focus on our winning and someone's losing. However, focusing on cooperation provides win-win situations, which are much easier. As a result, interdependence and cooperation are more positive when compared to the perception of everything as a competition. For example, consider 2 people working through their marriage. Many couples face with the serious problems when their honeymoon stages are over and they even get divorced. However, if couples succeed in working together, sharing a vision and valuing cooperation, their marriage even comes stronger when the problem appears. So you should focus on the long-term and immediate benefits of working cooperatively with the people in our lives instead of seeing them as competitors. Being a strong personal leader goes through strengthening that's around you. All of us have leadership roles for others in our lives, such as parents in parent-child relationships or employees and employee-colleague relationships. In such situations, you have to empower those you lead to be a good personal leader. Although empowerment is not possible to be instilled directly to anyone, you can allow them to strengthen by providing appropriate conditions such as trust, respect, and honesty that naturally lead to empowerment in others. You can include others in the process of decision-making to foster those conditions. For instance, imagine that one of your subordinates at work comes to you with a problem. You firstly try to ask them what they can do and direct them to find their solution instead of trying to fix it immediately. As a result, their creativity becomes valuable and they feel respected and empowered to perform better in the future. There needs to be mutual trust and accountability when you lead someone. Strict supervision and control might seem easy in the short term to get immediate results, but in the long term, it isn't productive. Results of the studies done with companies show that a high trust culture, quote unquote, provides employees feeling trusted by their employers, and these companies perform better than companies with a low trust culture, which, in my point of view, just definitely makes sense. I mean, if you can trust in your employer, if you can trust as an employer to your employees, then it's just gonna be better. It's just gonna be good. If there's just, also in relationships, if you can't trust those people that you're in a relationship with, no good. It's not good. Because, trust is a really important thing. Period. Nothing else to say, actually. Period. There's a good way to build a high trust culture, and that is getting feedback regularly from those you lead. This shows that their opinions are important and respected. Also, you will explore which areas you need to work more on, which is definitely very important. I mean, it's a win-win situation. Like, you get something, they get something, everyone's hopefully happy. So yeah, there's a good way to build a high trust culture, and that is getting feedback regularly from, for example, consider a CEO who listens to his employees' feedback. As he considered those feedbacks, he values their judgments and proves his humility. His performance doesn't have to be perfect, and he can't change always. You'll find personal leadership roles in every aspect of your life. It can be family, work, or friends, so you need to base your relationships on trust, respect, and honesty to be a strong leader. Your different roles and tasks are parts of a whole rather than being separate pieces. Strong principles provide you improving with your quality of life by building you up, by guiding you about how you spend your time. It also directs you in a fulfilling direction. Most importantly, principles provide guidance and balance as a result of that guidance. Most people tend to separate their lives as work, family, free time, etc. The roles they play and the tasks they perform are in independent categories, but this type of perception may be limiting to your life. If you have only a good sense of balance in your life, you can get rid of your borders as being more productively. When people see their lives as divided into sections, they have difficulty transferring their skills between compartments. For instance, researchers show that a successful person in academia may have difficulty in the area that's not academic, even if the task is similar, because they aren't used to thinking along the boundaries they just imagined. In reality, we have all related tasks and roles. If you only focus on one, it will cause frustration. Imagine that an executive only focuses on her timetables and duties, and if her employees interrupt her with questions, she becomes easily annoyed. However, if she uses her employees' questions and interruptions to strengthen her relationship with them, performance in the company will get better. The executive needs to be more balanced by combining her work and social roles. It may seem hard, but combining your roles in life is much easier. For instance, you're stressful because you are under pressure of exercising more and spending more time with the children. However, your schedule is so full to do both of them. Here is the point. You can combine them by playing tennis together with your children. As a result of understanding the connectivity in your life, you will have new opportunities like this, and you'll be able to use your time more effectively and efficiently. So don't compartmentalize your life. Keep a balanced view, and don't forget that everything is connected. To have inner peace, try to improve your quality of life and put things first. First things first, yeah. Do you consider yourself to have inner peace? Does your life have balance, joy, and also meaning? If you have problems related to discouragement, pride, or unrealistic expectations in your life, you probably feel dissatisfaction, because these are the most common preventers to have inner peace, which provides you a high quality of life. So, problems related to discouragement, pride, and unrealistic expectations. Sometimes all three of them happen at the same time. Think of yourself as skilled in your work, but when your supervisor retires, you're not elected as the successor. When someone else gets promoted, you will feel discouraged and embarrassed because of staying in your position. What can you do in here is that you can try to focus on humility and courage instead of shaming, and you give up unrealistic expectations. Remember, someone else getting the promotion does not show that your performance isn't good enough, so you should also give up competing with others to prove your worth. In fact, you can think that your performance is really good, so your company wants you in that position. This kind of thinking provides you peace and improvement. And by the way, inner peace is definitely very dependent on how you think about things, and very important, but I am willing to talk about that for a bit after I went through this section. The biggest key to reaching inner peace is putting first things first. A professor gave a good example to to his students. He presented an empty jar first, then he filled it with rocks, and again, the students whether it was and asked the students again whether it was full or not. They said it was full. In response, the professor poured in gravel, which filled in the gaps between the rocks. Next, he poured in the sand. Finally, he poured in water to completely fill even the tiniest gaps. So here's what we can learn from this. If we think that jar as the same time in our lives, the rocks are the important things and the sand, gravel and water as the rest. If we put in the sand and gravel first, which are unimportantly daily chores, there won't be a place for the rocks. However, when we put in the important things first, everything will fall into place. Well, I don't know. Like, the thing is, there's definitely just multiple ways how you could interpret this. So, but yeah, I gotta have to say, there is a lot of time in life, and care about your inner peace. And this is something that I want to talk about in a bit, or for a bit, in the last few minutes of this episode. If you're not peaceful in your mind, when there's no peace in your mind, then there's also no peace in the world. From this moment on, when you feel bad internally, everything outside is just also going to be bad. If things outside are bad, but you don't really feel that they are bad, then you're just not affected by them. There's no thing. You don't feel bad. You don't feel just shitty. You don't feel discouraged. You don't feel jealous. Whatever it might be, if you don't internally feel like that, then just outside things don't really matter. But I mean, easily said than done, of course, as it often is. But inner peace is important, and having perspective. And perspective, in my point of view, can lead to this type of inner peace. And so, yeah, important. Very important. But yeah, with that being said, I hope hopefully I've been able to just share some things that are of importance to you. So I wish you the best health, happiness, and all success, and also hope that you're going to remind yourself and you're going to be remembered, which basically means your legacy, and basically means just being a nice person and then being remembered as a nice person, which is a pretty fucking cool thing. 3 other questions that I'm having for you are: why are you here, what are you trying to change, and what is bothering with them? Most these 3 questions are hopefully going to show you your purpose and maybe even a business idea, which is pretty fucking cool. One last question that I'm having for you is: what could you say, particularly say, that is gonna change somebody's life? What is it? What could you say? What could you communicate? What could you point out? What could you write as well? And if you're texting somebody, and if you know, okay, this is the right thing to do, this is something that you should be doing, maybe it's not easy. It's never ever gonna be easy, but it is right. Then yeah. Right things always feel good, and being a nice person, pointing nice things out is always a good thing. You shouldn't not see the bad things either. You shouldn't be like, wow, you're the best person in the whole entire world. It is not the case. There's qualities and very certain qualities that some people have. Often I do just, this is something that I kind of need to point out. Sometimes it is difficult if you want to be nice, because people might think like, oh, you're just hitting on me, for example. It depends on the person. It heavily does. But point out fucking nice things, motherfucker. Point out nice things. You can say something nice and make just an entire day for a certain person just completely different. And that's amazing. And this is also one of the reasons why I do want to encourage you to do so and to do that, because it's a bit of courage, maybe. I know it just, once again, depends on the person. And like 1 minute of your time, maybe not even, but it is just something that changes one person's entire day, maybe even week, maybe even month, maybe even year. And I don't know, it also feels really good. But yeah, with that being said, hopefully you're going to see you the next time. Bye, and thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. Please stay safe and healthy. And also your family.